Okay. So we're in Palm Springs.
Yeah, it's so weird not holding a microphone.
I know. Remember when you used to hate holding a microphone?
Yeah.
And now you're like,
now I just
where's my
weird.
microphone? I know.
No, it was like
it's like a part. It's like an extension of you.
Right.
Yeah. We brought the microphones to be professional, and then we went to turn it on, and there's no SD card, so we can't record any audio.
Yeah.
So if this sounds bad, we apologize.
Also, I hear my dog Derby walking around with his nails on the floor. So that's.
Should I put him in the other room?
I mean, probably.
Okay.
But he's not gonna like it. So.
Okay. Like, can he just settle?
Maybe.
Okay.
Derby, can you settle? You have your bed right there.
Yeah, like just go in your nice Casper bed.
Your Casper dog bed.
So happy to be in Palm Springs right now.
Like get comfy.
Yeah, comfy. It's really hot.
It was like the high was like 115.
Yeah. And we're out here for our very close friend's wedding, and it's been beautiful.
Yeah, it's been so nice to be with all of our people.
Yeah, it's been so nice to be with all of our friends. It's been a while since we've like all been together in one place. I know. Like I can't even actually remember the last time.
I was just thinking about that.
With like everybody.
Everyone? I honestly don't know.
Same.
Because we have like a texting group, and there's 17 of us, and I think 2 are missing because they don't want to be part of the group.
Are they actually not in it?
I don't think.
And we have 1 pending.
Yeah.
As well.
When you get married,
then you join the group. Actually, Margot got to join the group.
I know, that's what I said. I said to Hillary last night, I think
she should just join the group.
Yeah, and she's like, well, I haven't been invited. So then I'm like, well
David
should I just...
should invite... I mean, that's
okay, I'm going to add her right now.
That's on David. Okay. Erica's making moves.
I'm going to add her to the group. Because she should be. I think it's like once you get engaged.
Yeah, I mean, that was like a while ago.
Yeah,
so
okay, add.
David's fault for sleeping on...
I know.
In the group. Yeah, so we've all just been friends for a really long time, and... It's so fun to...
I don't think I have her number. Well, does she have my number?
I don't have her number. I just had like a 45-minute conversation with her today at the pool.
How don't I have her number?
I don't know. Hillary, you will be added into the group as soon as David gives us your number.
Okay, Anyways. So I'm really happy you're here.
Me too. There was like a moment where we thought maybe I wasn't going to be able to come. I was supposed to still be in Boston at this time, and then found out I had recurrence, and then it was like, what's going to happen? Am I going to be having surgery? And it ended up working out that the weekend before I have surgery was this wedding.
It's crazy you're getting surgery in a few days, and like I know. You're here right now.
It's strange to like have a foot in 2 worlds.
Yeah, I always just am like, I just think it's such an amazing thing when plans actually happen the way it was intended. Because I feel like, I mean, first COVID and then like really now, it just feels like, it's just like when things actually happen as intended, it's just like a beautiful thing because...
Yeah, so often it doesn't go that way.
Like I really don't know what's going to happen until like it's like in the past.
Well, I mean, I think about like us going on our trip to San Diego.
Yeah.
Like it had been set for a year.
Yeah.
We set it the summer before. And then, like, literally day of, I was like, I'm not going.
Right. Yeah, I think that's probably why I think that.
Yeah, I traumatized you.
I think so. So, yeah, I'm, like, really glad you're here. And also there are a few moments where it's just, like, fucking brain cancer.
Yeah.
Showing up. And I just feel like I don't know, like, I'm in tune with you, or I don't really know what the words are.
That's correct.
And so, like, when you're not there, I'm like, where's Jordy? Like, what's happening? And, like, I look at your arm and I look at, like, I just...
You're, like, hyper vigilant about me.
Yeah, I think so. And also, I mean, like, not just because I'm just worried. I also like to spend time with you. But
yeah, of course.
I felt that way this weekend. And also, your, like, deficits have been a little bit...
More pronounced.
Yeah.
Yeah. And...
people have been calling it out a little bit more.
Not my deficits.
No.
Just, like, people... This is my first, like, social event in, like, a really long time. Like, I feel like the last big social event I went to was a glioblastoma fundraiser gala.
Yeah.
Where it's, like, obviously we all know what we're here for, right? And then
it was your brother's wedding.
My brother's wedding. And so that was, like... really close to when I was diagnosed.
Like 2 months post.
Yeah, I was like 2 months post-diagnosis. now I'm like, this is my life now. Like, I'm living it.
Maybe this is the first big event you've been to since the podcast.
That too. Like, I feel like there's just people who like know what's happening in my life, and it feels vulnerable and like intimate and strange. And it's like so nice to have people like thinking positive thoughts and praying. And also there's a part of me that's like, I wish I could just be like a normal guest at this wedding of like my really close friends, and like not just be like the girl with brain cancer.
Yeah.
You know?
I know, it's crazy because I really don't see it that way.
I know you don't.
Yeah.
But you're one of like the few people who don't see it that way.
I know. So I guess it's weird to me when people identify. I feel like protective. Like, there's just more than just fucking brain cancer.
I know you feel protective.
But yeah, so what was it like?
I think like it was also the first time I've like gotten dressed up in a while. So like there's just so many things at play. So it's like I'm about to have surgery. I just had this like had all these people like rally around me, raise money so I could go be in this like experimental trial that was so promising and hopeful. And then it failed.
Right.
And everyone knows it failed.
Yeah.
And now I have to like...
probably people you never met are the ones who like donated.
Yeah, and then I have to like face people who like have been a part of this like journey with me. And there's just something so strange about it. Like, it feels like a failure, which I've talked about before. And then it's like, I'm starting this new trial. So, like, I know I'm about to, like, embark on this new thing.
Oh, embark? I just feel like embark is not the right word here. You're not going on a cruise ship.
I'm going on a journey.
No. It's, like, embark and journey don't fit here.
Well, I don't know how to describe what...
I don't know. My mom says it's like World War III. That's what I feel like you're about to do.
Okay, I'm going to battle.
Yeah, you're not going on embarking on a journey.
Yeah, I'm going to battle. And yeah, like just the juxtaposition of it all, it's like, okay, I know that I'm like about to go have full-on brain surgery for the third time in like a year. And then I'm like at this beautiful wedding and like celebrating love and feeling so grateful that I'm here and so happy that I get to celebrate with all of my closest friends. And then I just like look around the room, and like there was a moment last night where we were like all dancing. And I was like, this is so nice. And it felt like really normal for a second. And then I like remember my life.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, like, and I don't know, there's something, it's so strange. I felt this way at some point. Hank and I had to go to an event. I think it was his cousin's bar mitzvah.
Oh, when you had your hair.
And I had my hair back then. And I just remember... like, I was so happy to celebrate, and there was also just, like, a tinge of, like, more than a tinge. Like...
Well, because it was during the speech.
Yeah, like, they're just talking about, like, how lovely it is to watch your child grow and, like, how much they love getting to know their child and all these things. And I'm just, like, thinking, will this ever be me? And then, in this case, I'm seeing these two beautiful people who are so in love and just starting.
Yeah.
And I'm just, like... that was me.
Mm-hmm.
That was us 5 years ago.
Right.
And like, what the hell? Like, what the hell happened?
I looked at you last night and I thought, like, what the fuck? I think I was just like, she doesn't have brain cancer. Like, this is, I was just like, and I'm like, that's not my Jordy who has brain cancer.
I know.
Like, and then I was like, wait, I guess I'm not in acceptance. It was this weird moment where I'm like, there's no way in hell that like I'm going to more weddings without you and without your hair. I'm just like, this is all,
I know.
This is all a nightmare.
Yeah, it's just like a really bad nightmare. And yeah, and then it's like I was thinking, so I was saying there's like multiple aspects of it. So there's like the mental part, right? I'm physically kind of struggling right now more than I have been, just with like my sensory stuff, and then also like just a lot of fatigue, and like doing a lot of events and activities is like not something I'm used to. So it's like really exhausting. And then physically I'm just like, how am I supposed to do my hair?
Right.
I have to like wear a dress, and I'm like thinner than I've like as soon as I was in like high school.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just like a full body, mind, spirit experience.
But I thought you looked great last night.
Thanks.
I like honestly was like, she doesn't look like she has cancer. That was my thought.
That's really nice. I just like, it's like you don't feel your best. And then when you don't feel your best, or you don't feel like yourself, then like it's hard to show up as yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I look in the mirror
it's like,
and
what
I'm
is
like,
yourself when like detaching? How do you like detach?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. So it's like there's that whole thing going on, and then I'm just like, is this the last wedding I'm going to go to? Is this the last time I'm going to like dance, be around all these people and like dance?
Oh my God.
Is this the last time I'm going to like dance with Hank at a wedding?
Yeah,
like,
it's really sad.
Yeah, like I just had like all these like existential thoughts, and who knows what the answer is to that.
Well, I told you I already had that thought.
I know. Which wedding?
Your brother's wedding.
Oh.
I think I said to Alex, like, what if this is the last wedding? I'm like, oh my God. Okay, it wasn't.
Yeah.
So then like, then I'm like.
That was like so soon after I was diagnosed.
What do you mean by that?
Like you thought that was going to be my last wedding?
I didn't know.
Oh.
Because I knew.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Like at that point in time, like I felt like pretty confident that like I'd like be around for at least like another year. So I was like, oh, I'll like go to some people's weddings.
Yeah.
I just like didn't think about it.
But now I feel like this is definitely not your last wedding.
You do?
Yeah.
Like we have one wedding coming up, but it's like a travel destination wedding, and I just don't know if we.
I know.
I don't know how to commit to that because we don't know like what's going to happen with my health.
Right. I guess we don't have any other weddings.
But outside of that, we don't have any other weddings.
That's true. I guess I forgot that we don't.
Most of our friends are married, and I'm not really like going to like bar and bat mitzvahs that much anymore. You know, especially like with my own friends.
Right.
Like maybe we just need to like throw a party where we can all like hang out and dance.
Yeah. Yeah.
We should just do that.
We should do that.
Like, why do we wait for a wedding?
Yeah, let's do that.
That's stupid. We should all like get cute and then hang out.
So now this is a call to anyone who
Call
wants
to action.
throw a party that
Who wants to throw a party and dance with us?
To. Yeah.
Okay,
so how else was it?
Like all of it was just hard. All of it was hard. Like I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so grateful that I was able to come. And I'm just sad that
it's just like you probably hear this in the background.
Yeah, sorry, but you hear a child screaming his head off. That was happiness.
Yeah, Hank is with her, Ramsey's with him.
I'm just like sad that these are the things I'm thinking about at weddings. You know, like I just want to be able to like be there to celebrate people and like celebrate friends, and like even like listening to like the mom of the groom give a speech. You know, I'm like, will I ever do that?
Yeah.
Will I be there for my like kid's wedding?
Right.
Like probably not. And like I hate saying that out loud, but like realistically, that's going to be in a long time because he's 2.
Yeah, I hear you.
So,
right, and like those thoughts like don't go through my head around like about the speech. Like I didn't even think about the parents giving a speech.
Yeah,
it didn't like cross my mind, but it like makes sense why that would cross your mind.
Of course.
Yeah, I just feel like also because people love you so much from afar, they feel like invested.
Yeah.
And they feel like they know you. So you go to a wedding, you have your crew of people, and then you don't know anyone else, but they all know you.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. And technically, if they know you from the podcast, they all know me too. But no one's
no one's approaching you.
No one's approaching me for obvious
It's because you don't have brain cancer.
It'd be like, Erica, like I love, like you're just so famous.
No one's telling me I'm famous.
That's true. Okay, anyway. So I want to know. And the people probably want to know.
Is he like okay?
I don't know. And it's just hard because Ramsey's always silent when my children cry, you know?
Yeah. Like vow of silence.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to know what's like the best case scenario for someone who follows you, listens to Grief Street, and just like in general, I think this is helpful for anyone who's struggling with something. And they like have the best of intentions. What would be the best way to approach you?
So I think it's hard because like I love getting people's messages on social media because I can choose when and how I respond. Mm-hmm. So it's like a text message or a message or a DM, like those things are really nice to receive because I don't have to like in the moment figure out how I want to respond. And like if I'm having a hard day, like I don't have to like put on a face, you know? In person, it's actually a lot harder. Right. And like I haven't come across this too much because I haven't been going to all these social events. But like I think I've said this before, and maybe it's hard to believe because I post on social media more often, but like I am not someone who like particularly likes to have a lot of eyes on me. I'm much more of like a wallflower. I like to stand in the back. If there's a party, I'm going to find the dog. Right. You know, like if there's small talk, it's going to be hard for me to like engage in that. And so that's already like just prefacing with that.
Well, yeah, even I remember like people who didn't know you and they knew me first, they would be like, oh, does Jordy not like me?
Because they think I'm like mean or whatever. And it's like, it's just my own anxiety and like, like my own social anxiety. Yeah. And so I already am someone who like doesn't like attention or like whatever. Like I was even hesitant to have a wedding because I was just like, I don't really want a bunch of people looking at me, which sounds silly. Like why do I care? Right. But I don't know. I just do. So I guess when people come up to me who I don't know and they are like coming, it sometimes feels like they're just coming up to me like because I have brain cancer. And like I already am just like trying to like not put light on the fact that I have brain cancer. Like I'm just trying to like be here and like be in the moment and like enjoy and celebrate. And so I think when people come up to me and they say something like, I'm praying for you or something like that, I think to me it feels like I can like see like sadness in their eyes, and like I don't want them to feel sad for me. Yeah, like it's like they can feel however they want to feel, but I don't want to like see it while I'm at a wedding. Right. You know,
well, because then it feels like, what are you supposed to do with
I don't know how to respond. Like I'm so grateful and thankful that this person is thinking about me. Yeah, I think like maybe like something like, hey, I've been following along and it's just really nice to meet you. Yeah, you know, and like not drawing attention to like what's happening with my journey or like my brain cancer, because it's like I'm at a wedding, like I don't really want to talk about like my treatment plan or like what's not worked out or like the fact that I can't work. Like none of those things are really like they're all part of my journey, but they're not really things I want to be like acknowledging at like a celebratory wedding. Yeah. It's just like a reminder of like what I've lost and like how I can't like go out into the world and be a normal person. Right. If that makes sense. So like I don't want it to come across as like being ungrateful or like angry about it, because I'm not.
Well, because then I was like, well, the opposite, like let's just go opposite, that like no one acknowledges it ever. Like that would be really weird too if like you just no one in your life acknowledged that piece. So I feel like the idea of like being a cheerleader to me at least was like, wow, like I've been following along in your
I love
updates.
watching your videos.
Yeah, like sending you so much love. I'm thinking of you.
Yeah, like I think those kinds of things feel better to me, because like we were just talking about this, like if someone had like some other sort of ailment, like, and they were like walking into a wedding, like I don't think like people would be like bringing it up to them, right? You know, but I also recognize like I've been sharing this publicly, so like it maybe feels like it's okay to just like chat with me about like all the things that are going on, and in reality, it's like I'm just trying to like have fun at my friend's wedding and like trying to focus on them and not focus on my brain cancer.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah, and it's like I say that like
I know that feels again, like uncomfortable
with like so much love, and I'm like trying really hard to not have like brain cancer like be my thing. You know, like I don't want that to be my thing. Like
it's
I just
want a thing most people would want.
Yeah, like I just want to like be Jordy and like we're so happy you're here. And like end the sentence there, rather than like yeah, and I'm praying for you, or like I'm sending you so much light, or like I don't know.
I think it's when because it's not that it's paired sometimes with sad energy.
Yeah, like, or pity, you know, like they feel bad for me, and like you can feel bad for me, like my life sucks right now.
Yeah.
You know, but like I just like
don't need that.
Yeah, like I just like don't really want that energy, especially from someone I don't know at someone else's wedding.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard shit to deal
with. It's hard, and like I don't want to stop sharing, or like, because it's like been so beautiful and helpful and like made me feel so loved, but I think like I like to be in control of like how I respond, and it's like really hard to do in real time.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think hard to say, because I know you were like, maybe you didn't want to like say these things.
Yeah, because I just like, I know it's all coming from a good place, and people are not trying to make me uncomfortable or say something that's gonna like, I don't know, upset me. Like, and I know that's not where it's coming from at all. Like, I think people genuinely care and are like just invested, and that's so nice and beautiful. But I guess it's just like, for anyone who's like going through something hard, like I think about when, you know, you lost Shayla, it's like, if it was never acknowledged, then that doesn't feel good. Yeah. But like, if you're out to dinner at like a friend's birthday party, like that's probably not where you want to have a conversation about the loss of your daughter.
Well, also, I think sometimes the way that it was brought up was like not great for me.
Yeah.
Like, oh, she wasn't meant to be. Yeah. It's like, I just need like, we love you, we're thinking of you.
Yeah, like I just want to give you a hug.
Yeah, like the acknowledgement felt nice, but not the like, I don't know. I don't know what the spirituality, religious, it's just like with a tone of sadness.
Yeah. Like I just want it to be like a tone of hope, maybe.
Yeah.
Or like, some people were like, I'm so excited to see that like you got into this new trial.
Yeah.
And like just like leaving it there, like that's so nice. Like
and it's not saying like we don't need toxic positivity either.
No. I think just like,
yeah, it's like a balance.
It's like, yeah, and it's like very nuanced and difficult, and like I'm still working on how to approach people when they're going through hard things. So it's not like my expectation is not for someone to get it right. It's just, I guess, maybe just putting it out there that like when someone is going through something really challenging in their life, like drawing a lot of attention to it at an event where like they're just trying to be present can feel sad and hard.
Yeah, it'd be different if it was at like the GBM gala.
Right. Like there, it's like, of course, like I'm going to talk about my GBM. We're going to talk about doctors, appointments, whatever. But it's like I had a friend when we had the going away party at Erica's house. Like I don't remember who it was, to be honest. But someone was like, hey, like, is it okay if I ask you some questions about, like, the trial? And I was like, honestly, no. Like, I don't really want to talk about it here.
Yeah.
And, like, I really appreciated that because I understood that person just, like, wanted to know because they care about me and they love me. But I was grateful that they recognized that maybe at, like, a social gathering, I wasn't going to want to, like, answer those questions or go into details or, like, think about that piece. I just wanted to, like, focus on being together with my friends.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. It's like informed consent about like how to have these conversations. Well, I'm glad that you shared that piece because
thanks for asking me the hard questions.
Yeah, I'm sure you're like, but not things. But I do think it's helpful, and we know like people do have really good intentions.
No, the intentions are amazing, and like just the fact that like people are caring and thinking about me. I mean, it's like so moving, you know.
And, like, you're about to get into some tough shit in the next few days, so...
Yeah, so I think it's just, like, it was sort of, like, my last moments to, like, feel normal for a second.
Yeah, before I had to, like, forgot you were getting brain surgery.
Yeah, to, like, go back into, like, recovery mode.
I just saw you post-brain surgery. Like, I'm, like, so confused.
I know, it feels like deja vu.
Like, you just had brain surgery.
I know. Third time's the charm.
So
it just feels like really crazy. Yeah.
Okay, well, anyway, for some updates, Jordy's getting brain surgery in a few days.
Yeah.
Then it's like a 6-week trial from there.
Yep.
3 vaccine shots, infusions.
Shots.
and
then immunotherapy infusions.
Yeah, that's right. That's also in there. So TBD on like what's, hopefully there's like nothing to report.
Yeah, like hopefully I get out of this surgery and I'm like chilling. I get my vaccines, chilling.
And then chilling.
And then like just chilling.
Just chilling.
That's what we want. We just want to have no updates on GBM.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's sort of the gist of where we're at. But yeah, I think for anyone who's out there who's like had some sort of like life-altering experience, or they're in it, or it's like mine is permanent, like it's not like I went through this thing and now like I'm just going to be going through it forever. I think there's just like so much loss, and like it comes out in so many different ways. Like I wasn't really imagining myself feeling sad this weekend, actually. Like I didn't anticipate it. I was like, oh, like I'm gonna be so stoked to see my friends. I'm so glad I get to make it to this wedding.
That's like disappointing then to like have sadness show up.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like it's surprising and unexpected sometimes. And I think it's important to like be like talk about that part too. It's like you don't want to just be like suck it up and be like, don't feel sad, like you're at this wedding and like you get to be here and whatever, it's like, no, I would like I'm so glad I'm here, and also I like would love it if I could like dance normally and like feel pretty and whatever. So just know you're not alone if that's something that you're feeling when you go to social things or have interactions like that. On a different note, let's get into our guest today.
This is like honestly one of the most like interesting topics that I never thought was a thing or possible. Like I just didn't realize that someone could be so allergic to life. It reminded me of Bubble Boy.
Yes.
Where he was like, allergic to life.
Yeah, I know. So I go on TikTok and I have an algorithm.
And you have a really fucked up algorithm.
As we all do. And I'm posting and like using hashtags about like terminal illness and like grief support and like all sorts of things, right? So what's TikTok going to feed me? A bunch of that health stuff. So all of a sudden, one day on TikTok, I just come across this girl with like the biggest smile on her face. And she's just talking about how she can only eat 2 foods. And those 2 foods, I'm going to save it for the actual interview. But
it's actually going to be in our title.
Oh, okay. Well then. Okay, so you already know what those 2 foods are. But her videos, the reason why I was so drawn to her, like, yes, I found that to be interesting, but I was so drawn to her because her videos are like so lighthearted and funny and educational at the same time. And I was like, man, if I was someone who had mast cell activation syndrome, which is what she has, I would feel so supported and seen coming across her videos. I was like, what a community she's been able to create. And then I'm sure there's people, like she says, that are just like interested. Like, how do you only eat 2 foods? Like, how do you function that way? But I was just like, essentially like what I've been trying to do with GBM and brain cancer is like she's doing that with mast cell activation syndrome. And she is going to explain what that is much better than I could. But essentially, she's allergic to like a lot of things and has anaphylactic reactions. And so, it's really like high stakes for her when it comes to what she eats and being around allergens like pets and dander and things like that.
And just anything airborne. I mean,
anything airborne.
We were just thinking the grief of that. Like she had lived some normalcy and then to no longer live that anymore.
And she was really athletic. Like she was a really athletic person and like clearly strong. And if she got into D1 rowing, like really good at what she did. And just to have that all stripped away.
Yeah.
And have no control, you know?
I mean, her attitude and outlook is very inspiring.
It was so inspiring. And I also was like shocked that this was her first podcast. 'Cause
I know.
She was so well spoken and seemed so comfortable. And I reached out to her. I like found her on TikTok and then I messaged her and she didn't respond. And then I posted a comment on one of her videos and I was like, hey, check your DMs. Like,
oh my gosh,
would love to have you on my podcast. So shout out to me for strategy.
I know. And putting yourself out there too.
For sure. Like that's not something I typically do, but I just felt really drawn to her and like she just feels like a ray of sunshine And her life like requires a lot of boundaries and a lot of precautions. And it can be like, I mean, I even think about all the medicine she has to take every single day, and to still be someone who's going to concerts and dinner and going on runs and like the beach. Like I've just, sometimes it feels hard for me to go do those things, and I don't have an allergic reaction or like the potential to like go into anaphylaxis. So I just was like so impressed by her and her attitude and the fact that she like puts in the work to like find a way to feel better and like to cope. I just really enjoyed talking to her.
Yep, I did too, and don't want to give away too many details, so let you listen along. But this was one of my favorite conversations so far.
Me too. We learned a lot from this conversation. So without further ado, Caroline Cray. Caroline, welcome to our Grief Street podcast.
Thanks for coming on.
I'm so glad that you saw my comment on your video and that you agreed to come on to do our podcast.
Is that how this happened?
Oh, yeah. So
what happened?
I messaged her, but like sometimes on TikTok, the messages are weird because like they don't pop up like, I don't know, the way they do on Instagram. So then I was like, oh, she just posted a video. I'm going to comment on it. It was strategic.
Wait, what did you say?
I really appreciate the comment, and I'm so happy to be here.
I don't know. I was just like, I really like your videos. I have a podcast. Do you want to come?
Oh, you're so funny.
I don't know. I'm just bold.
No, and like that worked so well because I lose track of the DMs are like, they have them kind of separated weirdly in TikTok where it's like filtered and then unfiltered and then they just get lost in the sauce. So yeah, this is perfect.
I guess that's what happens when you have terminal brain cancer. It's like you can be really bold.
Yeah, I can just be really bold.
I like that.
So yeah, that's how we got connected. But your videos like popped up in my For You. I also think like when you have some sort of like illness or disease, you get like fed other people that have things going on, which I mean, I find interesting, but yeah, I found your videos like really interesting because I hadn't seen anything like that before on TikTok. So we would love to know a little bit about you, but also how you found yourself on TikTok posting about your mast cell activation syndrome.
Yeah, absolutely. I was pretty healthy all my life. I just grew up with normal food allergies. So kind of the run of the mill, like peanuts, nuts, sesame, seafood. And it was easy to have under control, easy to live a pretty normal life. You know, I would just have to check with restaurants beforehand or just be cautious. But then I did have a really bad anaphylactic reaction during my first week of college. And that, you know, instead of my body just fully recovering from that allergic reaction, it spiraled into subsequent reactions and essentially pushed my mast cells into overdrive. So I got stuck in this reoccurring cycle of anaphylactic allergic reactions. And it was really, really scary. And I was only down to 3 foods at that time. Luckily, I got a diagnosis within, I'd say, 8 months of getting sick, which I know is really, really good compared to a lot of people. They go years without having a diagnosis.
Do they really?
And,
just like in and out of the hospital having anaphylaxis?
Yeah.
Wow.
People are just like, oh, you're having an allergy flare up or, you know, you're stressed or something. But I live near Boston, Massachusetts, and that's such a big medical hub that we were able to get in to see an actual mast cell specialist. So that was definitely pivotal. I started on a lot of medications that were really, really helpful. And then within a year, I was, you know, eating back to normal and drinking certain types of alcohol and eating out at restaurants again. And then basically in the spring of 2019, so I got sick in the fall of 2017. And then the spring of 2019, I had another flare up and I've basically been recovering from that since. So that was a series of hospitalizations. And I have been just eating oats and hypoallergenic formula for 5.5 years now. And over the past 7 years of being sick, I'd had a lot of friends and family tell me like that they were really proud of me, that I should like write a book, that I should share my story. And I felt like I was never in the right headspace to do that. I felt like I was complaining, even if I was just sharing what my day to day was. And then I think that also I struggled with wanting to be perceived as normal.
Yeah.
And especially living so normally, kind of quote unquote, my whole life. I wanted to keep up appearances, if you will. It just feels like you're keeping up with the Joneses, that you're, and it's easy to do that on social media, you know, especially on Instagram. You can just post the highlights and, you know, kind of sleep peaceful at night. But it became kind of undeniable. I'm 2 years out of college at this point. I'm still living with my parents. I'm still on the really limited diet. And I just realized kind of this past winter that I was fine with my life. And I was really proud of myself with how I've coped and how I live such a full life. Especially meeting new people. They would always say, "Oh my God, I would have no idea that you're so sick and that you're on so many medications, that you're only eating 2 foods." So I started posting about my diet in the spring, and it just got an amazing response of everything from people saying, like, "I'm so intrigued. How do you live like this? Like, it could never be me," to people saying, "Oh my God, I'm down to 4 foods. Like, I have never seen anybody my age post about it." And I think that kind of encouraged me to keep sharing.
I mean, that's like, it's so amazing that you are sharing. And also I haven't heard about it. So you're increasing a lot of awareness. And when I was listening to your videos, I could tell it actually reminded me of Jordy a lot, because it's like you're both desiring for that sense of normalcy because you both had your sense of, you were like, I just wanted to go into college back, you know, you were like, my sophomore year was so normal. I wanted to go back to school and just be able to do things. And I just think that's underrated sometimes, to be able to just be perceived and be able to be productive and like do something that's bigger than yourself. I think that's just such a universal desire.
Yeah. And especially going into college, it's in the US, I feel like a lot of people say like it's the best 4 years of your life. I went to the same college as my mom, and I'd heard just so many like hilarious stories, and I was so looking forward to it. I was recruited as a rower, and it was a D1 program. And so I was just really excited to like be at my best, like physically and intellectually and socially. And to have that all kind of come crashing down within the first few weeks of college was really, really hard. So I think the only way that I was able to kind of finish off that freshman year was just to cope and try to grasp onto some normalcy, like really throw myself into my classes, even if I felt like I was having difficulty breathing. You know, I could just try to focus on the material and what the professor was saying, and that could get me through the next hour. And otherwise, I think I would have just been overwhelmed by my symptoms. But with that being said, like I did have to take a year off of college in between my sophomore and junior year when I got sick again, because, you know, you do need to allow your body to rest. And it's a balance between pushing yourself to live a full life but also not pushing yourself too much where you kind of
end up in the hospital,
take steps back. Yeah.
I can relate to that like so much as someone who like wants to be a doer and be productive and like social and all those things. And then like recognizing your limitations. I think that's been one of the hardest things about my diagnosis is realizing like, oh, you know what, like at this moment in time, I'm just like not capable of what I was once capable of, and having to accept that and like let your body rest and take time to like recover. It's just such a challenge, I think, when you're someone who has like a zest for life and wants to do all the things and your body's saying like, nah, you can't right now.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's a kind of, you feel at war with your body and your mind. And I think that I've done a lot of reflection over the last couple of years in more of the like holistic space and trying to understand that like my body and my mind are one and the same. Like it's all a system that's working together, and to kind of like honor that and to appreciate the fact that like I can still have those urges and desires to like go out and do things, but I also can take 10 seconds to breathe and check in with myself and listen to kind of what I'm feeling. So I think over the last 7 years, I've really gotten to know myself on like a cellular level, but also in kind of like a spiritual level as well. Because it forces being chronically ill or, having health challenges, it forces you to do a lot of kind of body checks, mind checks. And, you get to, I'm grateful for it in a way because that's all we can do. We can't harp on it. We can't hate it because that gets us nowhere, but I'm grateful for it in a way because it's allowed me to gain a whole different perspective of myself that I never had before.
Right. I'm wondering too, like when do you feel your most your highest sense of normalcy? Like, are there times, I was just thinking about this with you too. I'm like, okay, I could tell because I know Jordy very well, like when you're feeling so normal that like brain cancer maybe doesn't exist for a minute. And then when it feels really heightened, like, do you have that idea of when you feel the most normal, quote, quote?
That's a great question. I think I feel the first thing that comes to mind is like dancing, which I'm saying this with like, I'm not a dancer. Like I'm just talking about like jumping around and dancing with my friends. Like,
I was going to say, I need to see your dance moves then.
Please don't ask me. I'm not. I think that like doing something physically kind of, because also there was a period of time where I was pretty much bedbound and like reliant on a wheelchair because I was so weak and like kind of malnourished and just exhausted. So I would say doing things that are physical, skiing with my friends and family, swimming in the water, just when you can kind of like tune into your senses, dancing and just kind of like feeling like the energy, the music. I'd say it is most difficult for me to feel normal around food and drink. I include myself in all of those kind of social aspects of life. Yeah. So like going out to dinner with family and friends, but, bringing my own oats and formula, going for drinks with my friends, but like bringing my own bottled water. And that is, I can get caught up, I can get lost in the conversations, which is great, but it's always, kind of a hit of reality when you look around, you see everybody else eating or drinking.
Which is so hard because food is like integral to life that like there's so many opportunities to like get that reality hit. Yeah.
It's like just last night I was at a kind of like an alumni event sort of in Boston. It was very casual, but the whole premise of the event was because there was a Holy Cross alumni who was like launching a light IPA or hazy IPA or whatever with this local brewery. And so everybody was like talking about like the beer and everything. And I'm like, can I smell it? Like, I was like, how do I include myself in this? Like, and I was like, what is it? Like, I had only ever drank in like, I don't know, Bud Light or something during like my senior year of high school. Like, I don't know anything about hazy IPAs or whatever. Or, to ask people like, how's the meal? I try to not make it taboo because for the sake of others and for the sake of myself too.
Absolutely. I know you posted a video recently of you at a wedding and like having to bring your own food and your own water and still having what seemed to be a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I was thinking like weddings are like, when you said dancing, I was like, oh, weddings are like sort of a place where you can just like lose yourself and dancing and all of that. And then you come back to the table and it's like in most cultures, like everything sort of revolves around food and it's like very social. I'm wondering when you were first diagnosed versus how you feel now, how did you sort of like bridge that gap when you would be at a social event, or maybe you would avoid the social event if you knew that there was going to be food or something like that? I'm just curious how it's evolved over time.
Yeah, I think that at the beginning of my diagnosis, I counted myself out of all those plans because I felt like I just didn't belong. I felt like it was easier to just not to. And I don't know, I didn't want to bring too much attention to myself. I didn't want to make others feel like they needed to accommodate. But I think something that really helped me was the fact that we have a big extended family here, like around Boston, and my mom loves hosting holidays. So, even though at my kind of my most sickest, maybe when I didn't want to socialize or be around food, or when I was really depressed about it, we would still, we had that kind of tradition of hosting the family for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, for St. Patrick's Day. And I kind of had no choice but to be around a huge buffet of food and like all my extended family, all these people who love me and I love them, and they know what's going on. And I think that helped me feel like I can still enjoy all the good times and just, sit down with a plate that looks a little bit different, but the conversation is still the same, like I can be there even if I'm not eating the turkey or ham or whatever it may be. I think that also I have just had the privilege of having really great friends and family. So they will do anything in their power to like make sure that I feel comfortable. So like they'll let me choose like the restaurant because maybe it'll have fewer airborne allergens than a different restaurant. Or maybe it'll be in a setting that I find more comfortable, or something along those lines. Maybe it has outdoor seating, which is like kind of ideal. So I don't breathe in any kind of nuts or sesame or anything and have a reaction that way. So to actively kind of be a part of the process, to be a part of the planning has helped a lot as well.
Right. Gives you some like ownership, I feel like, of everything.
Yeah. It's kind of empowering weirdly. And it's fun. It's like, it gives me some kind of say in the social gathering, and because I won't really have a say in what I'm eating or drinking,
Right, yeah. And like, that's like a place where so many people like exert control is over food. And like so many things were stripped from you in terms of choice.
Yeah.
And yet, like, I think you do, like, I'm like seeing you here. I'm like, I would have no idea. And it's like, it's just, and that happens with you too. Even people are like, wait, what? Like, I thought maybe you were in like, if anyone were to see, maybe they'd say like remission, like no one would know.
Totally.
That you're like actively fighting something.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I kind of feel like when you're facing a health crisis, you'll do anything you can to feel better and to make it even 1% better. So for me, it's like people are like, oh my God, how do you remember to take like 15 pills a day at the right times? And it's like, it's not really like a choice.
Right.
It's like, if I don't take that pill at 8 p.m., I'm going to feel, and I've forgotten to take it at 8 p.m. kind of in the beginning of my journey, and I've regretted that. So it's, that the implications are so much worse. People are like, how do you not just like break all your rules and eat a hamburger? And it's like, cause I know I'm going to go into anaphylaxis, end up in the hospital. That's going to be however much on my health insurance. Like, it's going to be a financial burden. It's going to be an emotional burden for my friends and family. I'm going to set myself back 5 years. Like,
I mean, you seem really in acceptance of it. I feel like maybe at the beginning when you were like testing things out of like, can I go to the Caribbean? Can I eat? Because I was listening. Sorry. It feels like I've stalked you.
No, I love it. No, I love that you know it, because sometimes I talk to people that don't know it. And
No, I'm like, it feels weird that I know all these details about your life. Or like you ate an ice cream sandwich. Like it was like these moments when you were like testing things. I was like, oh, I wonder if you were like not fully in acceptance. So you also didn't have all the information of what was going on. But it seems like now like you're in full acceptance of like the mast cell activation syndrome.
Yeah, honestly, like I felt like when I went to college, I was testing my allergies a bit. And I really haven't talked about this at all. Just because usually the interviews I do are like 15 minutes and they just want the kind of like the headlines. But I had a really, really toxic ex-boyfriend, and I was so great about my allergies for all my life, and he made me feel like I was dramatic, like I was asking for special treatment. When I would ask him not to eat nuts or to use mouthwash before we kissed, or if we went out to a restaurant and I would have, that 30-second exchange with the waiter saying, I have really severe allergies. Can you please use clean utensils, like no cross-contamination? And he would essentially say like, I feel like you're being a little dramatic. I've never met anybody else who like acts like this. Like, I feel like you need to tone it down a little bit.
Wow.
And at that point I was in the relationship. He'd convinced me that is what love was, listening to each other. And
so almost like having to compromise on your health.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't even know that I was conscious of it really, but, I forget the name of the ice cream truck, but it was something like Wicked Ice. It was something very Boston, like Wicked ice cream truck or something. And I had in the spring, it was at a high school graduation party. And I went up to the truck and I was like, I have very severe allergies, And they were like, yes, like, we'll get a new scooper. We'll get this specific flavor. We'll open up a new tub. Everything was great. I ate the ice cream sandwich. Great. Got to college freshman year. It was a student athlete. Like, basically I was with my entire team and I was with all these upperclassmen and like all these new people that I wanted to like make a good impression on. And I saw the Wicked ice cream truck and I was like, okay, I know I can have this from there and I won't have to make a big deal out of my allergies. And I could just go up and I could just order what I got. And when I did that, I was like, okay, great. Took a bite, anaphylaxis. It was probably cross-contamination, right? They probably didn't use the new scooper because they didn't know. I didn't tell them. You know what I mean? But in my head, I had my ex-boyfriend saying, don't be dramatic, like da-da-da-da-da. And so I think that was, I kick myself every single day of my life for that. And I think that also it's that push and pull, because then I was doing a lot better the next year, went to the Caribbean with my friends, first time out of the country in a bit since getting sick. I was careful about my allergies, but, maybe it was a kind of a language barrier thing. Who knows? Maybe they just weren't as strict. Maybe they weren't up to the same health codes that a lot of the restaurants I'd been to in the US. But, and that was, again, kind of, I think that like now I know the cost of not advocating for myself and not looking out for myself. And I'm currently dating somebody and he always says like, I'd do anything for you. And I always say,
that's so
I always say, I'd do anything within my physical capabilities for you. Like, that's what I say to him, because I'm like, I can't say that. Like, I was like, I can't say I'll do anything for you, because I wouldn't I wouldn't put my health on the line anymore,
Yeah.
I mean, that's so huge. And like to like feel doubted when you're just, like you're in the midst of like discovering like the severity of everything. Yeah. The doubt and like love is just not great. It's pretty toxic.
Yeah. It just sounds like he made you feel, I don't know, like shameful because you have these things that are completely outside of your control. And someone who doesn't have a chronic illness doesn't understand like how badly you wish that it wasn't this way and you didn't have to, advocate for yourself in that way. Like, it's not something that's comfortable or that you want to have to do. Right. But I love that in this current relationship, it sounds like you're very much supported. And I mean, I've watched your videos, so like he seems great.
I haven't seen, I don't think I've seen the boyfriend videos.
He seems really sweet and supportive of just like you as a whole person, and like this is a part of you. It's not all of you, right? But it's just like one part of your life. And I'm curious when you start dating, and I imagine after being in that toxic relationship, it's probably scary to start dating again.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Your disclosure, I guess, in having mast cell activation.
I pretty much lay a lot of it on the line the first date. If I'll typically meet somebody kind of out in the wild, like in a very candid setting. And if they'll say like, oh, can I get you a drink? I'm like, oh, I don't drink, but like, I just have a couple of health things, but like, thank you anyways. And then, if we go on a first date or something, I'll say, hey, like, this is what you're signing up for, sort of. This is kind of what my life looks like. And most of the time it's fine. And I think it is kind of a life hack because it causes people, like, unfortunately I am heterosexual. So like it causes boys to like lock in, listen, and really think before they get involved.
Right.
I think that sometimes boys act on impulse. So
you get like, you pre-vet them, like the ones who are not serious, you kind of like, you were able to make sure.
Yes, exactly. Early. like they have to care enough about me and to be invested enough to watch what they're eating 24 hours prior, you know, and if that seems like a tall order for somebody, that answers a lot of questions for me.
Yeah.
With my current boyfriend, every single time I've seen him, I've been able to kiss him, which means every single time I've seen him, he's planned out in advance. And I think that also.
So wait, what does he have to do?
He can't eat any of my known anaphylactic allergens like peanuts, nuts, seafood, mustard, sesame, kiwi within 24 hours of kissing me. And then because I'm on the hypoallergenic formula and Oats diet, he can't eat anything at all 3 hours prior to kissing me. And then, but if we have like a hypoallergenic formula and oat like meal together, then we can kiss right after. So, but I feel like posting about it has, like created a lot of value, in my life and kind of expedited the process because we had met on a ferry ride.
That's so sweet.
And actually my mom talked to him before I did because she struck up a conversation with him and his friends, and then I got pulled into it, and afterwards he was like, wait, you said you're in the Boston area, like could I get your number? And he went to work the next day and they were like, oh, how was your weekend? He was like, great, I met this girl, like she said she went to Holy Cross, and one of his close coworkers went to Holy Cross as well. And she was like, oh my God, yeah, the one on TikTok. And he was like, what?
Oh my God.
He binged all my
didn't
videos.
even know.
He had no idea. He binged all my videos like before our first date. And so he went in knowing everything.
Yeah.
And he basically was like,
for you than having to like explain everything.
Yeah. I'm like, here's your crash course. And like, let me know if you're interested.
Yeah.
Right. He like did his homework, you know, like he wanted to get to know you, which I love.
Yeah. And then I felt more secure than ever that somebody wouldn't resent me for my limitations or hold it against me or feel like their life was limited. Because, you know, I felt like that in the past, and it's just, you know, they say like, oh, I love you. And I'm like, I know, but like, I know you also kind of resent me for not being able to do X, Y, Z, but.
Wow. So does he share in your oatmeals with you?
Yeah.
That's cute.
I love that.
That's really sweet.
I'll post it soon, but he came over for like a date night and we made an oat and hypoallergenic formula pizza.
Wow.
Oh, I'm excited to see this one. I've loved all of your recipe videos.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So he's right in the kitchen with me. He's doing the taste tests. He loves it. He thinks it's really fun.
So it sounds like if he goes out, he's also asking like to make sure that those ingredients aren't in his food if he's going to see him 24 hours later.
Yeah.
So he basically pretends, he's like, okay, it's easiest to just say, oh, I have an XYZ allergy.
Right.
Like, so then he's all good to go. Yeah.
I mean, I was even out to dinner last night with a friend and she has severe allergies to a few things like mustard, nuts, I don't know, a couple of other seafood, and she'll go into anaphylaxis. And I think maybe I get very anxious that I'm going to be the one having to use an EpiPen on her. So I'm always telling them like even more. So like, no, did you hear her? What she's saying? Like, can you please make sure and tell the kitchen? It like causes me so much anxiety, and it's not me who has the allergies.
Yeah.
So I can just really understand and empathize of just having a few severe allergies. Like you were in and out of the hospital for so long. Like I can't truly understand what that anxiety must have been like when you didn't know what all of your allergies were. Yeah,
it was really, really difficult to, oh my God, it just felt like a game of chance every time I ate something. And especially when I got sick again, kind of in that second flare up after the Caribbean sophomore year of college, I was out of the hospital like 4 or 5 times, and just trying a little bit of a single ingredient food and then seeing if I could do a little bit more. And it was really disheartening when something didn't go well. Like, for example, I was eating watermelon pretty much consistently okay. Like watermelon was like a safe food kind of in the spring of 2019. And then one day my mom came home from the grocery store and she had bought a watermelon, and then I opened it, like I cut it open and it was yellow watermelon instead of a red one. And I was like, honestly, this is probably fine. Like there can't be anything that different about them. Oh, no. So I started eating the yellow watermelon. and I went into like a huge flare. It was like just rashing and hives all down my neck and my chest. I was having trouble breathing.
Wow.
And I just felt really confused because I was like, that has got to be the most similar to a watermelon that there is, but it just didn't make sense why I was reacting. But, so yeah, it's like people always kind of are in shock with the fact that I only eat the formula and the oats. And like, but the reality of it is, it's like, I would take that forever if it meant that I was free of symptoms
Right.
for the rest of my life.
That makes so much sense to me.
Yeah.
But it's just not like, I know that that's not like kind of a good quality of life. So I am working with my doctors to try to increase my like variety in my diet with
that's like
single
so
ingredient.
hard. Like I understand, like you finally have stability, like it works, like it keeps you out of the hospital, keeps you symptom free. It's like I can understand it's so hard to like rock the boat and introduce uncertainty.
Yeah. I can just imagine that being really scary, like wanting to introduce new foods because you want more variety and probably like from a nutrition standpoint, and also being like, I could do this forever because I feel good.
Yeah, it's like the formula has the vitamins, the nutrients, the calories, the minerals, everything that I need to survive. And, you know, some variation of that is what people use on feeding tubes.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. And the oats just happen to be kind of a solid form, which is great for like, you know, bowel movements and stuff. And like, but kind of what I've learned is that we all have like a gut microbiome, and the formula in the oats is not conducive to a healthy and diverse microbiome. So, you know, it could be causing other issues.
I see.
And yeah, my doctors have definitely expressed concern about the longevity of this diet, just because of like, you know, the number one ingredient is corn syrup solids, which is like not great for your like heart and like your overall like.
Which is insane because that's what
they feed babies.
That's what infants.
Yeah. So I feel like there was a point where it was a no-brainer. Like, yeah, no, like I'm staying on the formula. Like this is great. And now it's the point where I'm a little bit more stable, and it's time to look at kind of my long-term health.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's been scary. I've tried broccoli, chicken, and sweet potato. They have all been like considered fails because I've had anaphylactic, like pre-anaphylactic reactions 2 times in a row, if that makes sense. So if you have a reaction to it and it feels pre-anaphylactic, like, you know, your oxygen drops a bit, you get the hives and the itchiness and everything. And then you try it again, and if you have a comparable reaction, then it's considered a fail. So
yeah. And how much food you actually take in when you're doing the trial?
I worked my way up to probably 2 teaspoons of broccoli. I barely had any chicken. It was like the size of my pinky fingernail.
Yeah.
And then sweet potato, anytime I got over a teaspoon, I'd have those reactions. So next on the list is lamb. I just picked up, I think it was a quarter of a pound. It was literally $2. And the butcher was like, this much?
Like,
and I'm like, yeah.
Like, that's all I need.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I probably won't even need that much, but that's okay.
Yeah. I'm like, is it weird to taste different flavors again?
Yeah. It feels like the Ratatouille like image where he's the strawberry and the cheese and he has fireworks go off in his brain.
Yes.
That's you.
But it's also, I ate normally for most of my life, so it just feels really nostalgic.
Yes.
And it's like, oh wow, it's like when you smell something you haven't smelled in forever. It's like, oh my God, I forgot about that. Like I cried the first time I had enough sweet potato where I could taste it.
Wow. I would
cry too. 1000%.
Yeah.
And is this like, you're doing this in conjunction like with a doctor's, like is a doctor overseeing this for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. and I could do it in a hospital setting, but I've talked about this with my doctor. I think that might be more anxiety inducing.
Yeah.
And I know exactly what I have to do when it comes to emergency medication. And I live really close to the hospital, like 10 minutes away. So I do it safely.
Right.
If I'm feeling very solid that day, if one of my parents is home, so that if something goes wrong, they know what to do. And I communicate to them when I'm doing it. I'll also like often record myself so that I can see physically kind of what's happening if I get
very smart.
like after the fact. Yeah. And I think kind of sitting in a hospital and doing it might be kind of I don't know, what's the word? Like,
it's also like clinical and
sterile.
Yeah, I like to kind of mix it in with my other food and just eat and like watch a funny video and associate kind of good feelings with it and familiarity and comfortability and then I think that sets me up the most for success. But
I hope the lamb is a jackpot and not a failure.
Thank you. I hope so too. Yeah.
I also for your TikTok, I don't know if you know this, but who's most of the followers? Like, is it people with mast cell activation syndrome or just like random people who have found you, like Jordy?
Like me.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. At first, I thought it was all people with either food allergies or mast cell activation syndrome. But as people began commenting more and more, and I kind of picked up on trends, I'd say it was people with some sort of health condition is probably the majority, whether that be like kind of generalized anxiety or like celiac disease, or it could be a whole range of things. But somebody who sees my experience as a person with challenges, who goes out into the world and tries to live the fullest life I can, who gets in my kitchen even though I can only eat 2 foods and like prepares and kind of has that ritual, and somebody who's dating, like trying to live a normal life, but in the wake of unique circumstances. And I think that also, but interestingly enough, I've met a handful of people just out and about who will say like, oh my God, this is a weird question, but like, are you on TikTok? Like, are you Caroline Cray?
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
And they'll say something along the lines of, oh my God, like I'm kind of a silent follower. Like I don't have any health issues, like, but I just find it like so fascinating. And like I just love your outlook. So I think a lot of people also don't have health challenges, which is kind of cool, because that means that I'm appealing to a larger variety of people instead of, maybe something about my personality resonates with them versus, my cookie cutter circumstances and my specific allergens, especially because, mast cell activation is so different from person to person. I have one friend who can basically eat everything except for a handful of things, but all of her symptoms are GI related and like tons of discomfort with her GI tract. And we both have the same doctor. We both have the same diagnosis. But mine, you'd think that they were completely different just in the way that they present. So that's kind of showing the variability of the disease. So I think it's a kind of a mix between both.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense too, because it's like shit happens in people's lives. And I think putting into perspective I think we take food a lot of the time for granted. And so then to see you who's like, again, like stripped of choice in so many ways and be able to like live a meaningful life, I'm sure it's just so inspiring for so many people.
Yeah, I always say that. I always say everyone has shit. It just comes in different shapes and sizes. Like, and I've learned to be grateful for so many things that I do have. Like, I have an amazing family, and my mother in particular is like, I call her my emotional support human. Like, I just don't know how I would do any of this without her. And I know that a lot of people can't say that, like, to the extent of like, maybe they just don't like their mom, like, or to the extent of like, maybe their mom passed, like, and every single day, like, I write down 3 to 5 things I'm grateful for, and family or my mother's always on that list.
Maybe we should talk to your mom one time.
I know.
Love to hear her outlook on everything. She sounds like
she's one of those people. She taught me that happiness is a choice a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But it's also important to feel what I'm feeling. You know, she wants to hold me when I'm crying. You know, I suppressed a lot of it in the beginning. And she was a big reason why I allowed myself to feel depressed about it, to feel really, really sad, to feel like I lost kind of mourning my potential life or whatever. And so she kind of taught me that, yes, like what you're going through sucks. Like, what are you going to do today to make it just like a little bit better than maybe it could be, or that. Yeah, exactly.
So it's like I find sometimes there's like a lot of toxic positivity around like illnesses, and just saying like, just stay positive and whatever, and sort of dismissing the fact that like there is a ton of loss that comes along with having a chronic or terminal illness. And so it sounds like your mom does a really good job of balancing the feel your feelings and also like strive for gratitude and something that could even just make your day a little bit better.
Yeah. And even I feel like sometimes like she she says like #blessed, like as like we use that as like feeling #blessed today, that like, because we kind of poke fun at it a bit.
Yeah.
She sometimes makes fun of me when I'm like, I'm really grateful for it. She's like, you're grateful for. And like, so she's kind of like,
yeah, it makes like light out of the serious.
Yeah, she doesn't want it to be toxic. She doesn't want it to be a force. Like, and yeah, I don't even know how to like what the kind of I don't even know how to sum up what I just said, but basically,
I love it. It's like finding silliness and like terribleness.
Yeah, Erica and our other best friend Alex, like whenever we're talking about my brain cancer, they're just like, it's so stupid that you got like the worst type of brain cancer. Like, it's so dumb. Like, why did that happen?
Dumb. It's like literally like that's, and literally I'm like, you know, it's so stupid. Like a peanut could take me out. Like, that's so humbling. Like,
right?
Imagine like being at the whim of a peanut.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Totally. Yeah. I feel like humor is such a tool when it comes to these things, because you have like such little control over what's going to happen. Right. And it's so nice when someone just joins you in that space of like poking fun at it. And I think a lot of people, at least in my experience, and I don't know if this has been your experience, but people are sort of scared to like join you in that space because they are worried they're going to like say the wrong thing, or they're going to offend you, or they're going to remind you that like you have this thing, even though obviously you're thinking about it all the time. And I wonder what your experience has been like with that. It sounds like you have an amazing support system.
Yeah, I think that it's a fine line, because I think humor is, I think things are like funniest when it's with the people you trust the most. Like, for example, my boyfriend right now, I'll say like, what'd you have for breakfast? And he's like, I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with extra mustard and sesame. I put sesame on top, and then I put like I filleted some fish and stuck that on the top. And then, and I think it's the people who, it's kind of a privilege, sort of.
Yeah.
It's kind of a privilege to be able to poke fun at it, because you have to.
Right. If you had like a distant friend who said that would feel really odd.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think it's tough because I prefer for people to just acknowledge it. Like, one of my favorite things now about the fact that I started posting on TikTok is that I'll see people that I usually only saw like once a year or something, and they'll say like, oh my God, like that TikTok where you did it, and it feels nice that they understand even just a little bit more of what's kind of going on, and they're able to just talk about it with me. I think the humor definitely comes from those who are closest to you. Like, I'll say if I come home from a doctor's appointment, my dad will say like, how was the doctor? And I'm like, like only the best for the worst. Like, I always say like, I'm some of the best healthcare providers, because they're always like, wow, you are just like the 1%, you are just like an anomaly. Like we can't figure you out. Like you're just the worst patient ever. Like, so always the best for the worst.
Yeah, there you go. I like the saying.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, I so appreciate you coming on here and telling more about your story and giving some insight into your world. And I'm wondering if there's anything that you would want anyone to know who's like struggle, like maybe in the midst of figuring out if this is their diagnosis or just having severe health challenges, if you have anything that you would want them to know.
Yeah. I think that it's okay to feel like it sucks, because it does. And it sucks a lot, especially when you're young. Like if you're in your teens or your 20s and people are telling you like these are some of the most formative years, and you know you got to be a free spirit and you got to travel and you got to make all these memories, to acknowledge that and be like, yeah, that like really doesn't feel good when I hear that. And also to communicate with your friends and family about what upsets you. I struggled in the first probably year of my illness I basically just kind of tried to keep up with conversation. And, you know, one of my best friends was absolutely living it up. And, her biggest problems was like, you know, Brad from Chi Phi Cheta O doesn't like me. And I'm like, I got out of the hospital last week and I feel like I want to die. And to communicate that and say like, I'm really not on that level right now, is something that I wish I could go back and tell myself was okay to do, to just kind of share what capacity you have for what other people are like sharing with you. And then I think kind of on a more positive note, I'd say don't be afraid to like share your story and to acknowledge kind of and what you're going through, but like publicly just kind of wear it. I've found that it opens up, I feel really seen, and when I just kind of lay it all out there, and I have good conversations, and you know I can learn a thing or two from people who might know somebody who has a different immune issue. I'd say don't be ashamed of it. Like everybody has things that make them different, and that just happens to be your thing. So kind of see what you can do with it. And yeah, something that's like just helped a ton, I mentioned it was earlier, was the gratitude thing. Like it's really, really like if you need to write down like 3 things that you absolutely hate right now, do that. Like be like, I hate the fact that I just ate mush for breakfast. Like that sucks. Like my brother was eating bacon and it looked so good. But then if you can follow it up with twice the amount of gratitude, you know, like I'm so happy I could walk down to the kitchen like on my feet and my legs today. Like that was awesome. I'm glad that my eyes work and I'm able to like see you beautiful people through my screen and like experience that aspect of this and
perspective a lot. So
totally.
I like that. I think like everyone can benefit from doing that.
Yes, totally. It'll allow you to slowly see more to be grateful for. And you'll notice that like the list, you'll be less inclined to write down 3 things that you hate about your life, you know?
Yep.
I love that advice.
Such good advice. And I can just share with you personally, like when I came across your page, I have a friend who is struggling with like health issues, and I sent your TikTok account over to them and I was just like, hey, like you know, this person is like living proud and living their life to the fullest and making the most of their time. And that doesn't mean that you don't have your hard days or your challenges, but you can live a full life in spite of having these challenges. And I think it was really helpful to this friend. And so I just am like really grateful that you're posting, because you're reaching a lot of people that are feeling alone and feeling like, who's going to want to spend time with someone who has all of these like unique challenges, you know? And you're showing that like it's definitely possible. Absolutely. And so I just thank you for doing that and showing up in that way.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Like, that means the world. And I think I just kind of started posting because I thought it'd be kind of silly. Like, oh, look at my life. Like, I'm not like other girls. I'm different. And then it's kind of evolved into this community, and I'll see the same people kind of showing up in my comments, and like, it just feels like I have an even bigger and more warm support system than I could have ever dreamed of. And yeah, no, that means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And we so appreciate your time. And yeah, it was just so lovely to meet you not in person, but through the screen. Yeah, live. Rather than through your TikToks. And yeah, just thank you. Yeah, it's been a little like scary to like see the decline of my dexterity in my hand.
I feel like it was really like this weekend that I've seen it more. I mean,
I've been feeling it for a while, but like it's really hard for me to like cut food.
Yeah.
You know, like I just like don't.
It was just typing that like 2 weeks ago.
It was just like typing.
When did it start getting worse?
I don't know. I feel like over the last week or two.
Wow.
Probably like. Yeah, and yeah, everything just feels harder to do.
I didn't even think about like cutting. Like, yeah,
because usually I cut with the knife on my right hand, and then I hold the fork with my left hand.
Same.
Yeah, so it's like holding the fork while I'm cutting is really hard for me.
Wow.
And then I like have to transfer it to my right hand.
Okay, so we don't actually know how to cut food properly.
What do you mean?
So when we were in Israel, someone called me out for the way I was cutting, I guess holding my fork, cutting food and eating. But it's because we learned how to hold a pencil the same way. I think most people don't transfer the fork when they eat. I don't think
I did that before.
Oh, I do that. Oh, this is a brain cancer thing?
Yeah, I think it's like I can't do it with my left hand, so I move it to my right hand.
I always have moved it.
Do you?
Yeah, I stabilize with my left, cut with my right, and then I switch to eat with my right.
Oh, see, now I can't remember if that's what I used to do.
Oh, okay. Well,
okay, maybe that's what I always
We'll have to go find like a video of
me cutting
a
food.
steak or something.
I don't think we videotaped that, but...
Okay,
Anyways, yeah, I think it's just like... Yeah, it just sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks to like see your body like break down a little bit. And this is minimal.
I know.
Yeah. So it makes me a little scared for the future. I mean, the hope is that I'm going to get this thing out and that it will...
Hopefully the functioning will return.
The functioning will improve. I can also do occupational therapy. Like there's lots of things I can do to improve it. But yeah, just seeing the decline is a little scary. Like, I mean, just even opening things.
I know. I didn't like really notice it that much before.
Yeah.
Like I was just saying, this is such an internal experience.
I know. Well, now
but
it's
I've
external
seen it.
because you're seeing it. Yeah. It's become external. It's not just internal.
I know.
Anymore. I mean, even I like wore these shoes that honestly were like a little bit of a risky choice because they didn't have a back.
Yeah.
But they were tight enough on the toes that I thought they would stay on. But like if they like fell off, like I can't just like put it back on with my foot, you know, like I normally would. Wow. I need to like sit down, put it on with my hands, adjust the straps perfectly.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like little things.
I mean, like Ramsey even like opened the door for you yesterday.
I know. Thanks, Ramsey.
He got out of the car and I was like, "What's wrong?"
Yeah, and he's like, "I'm just opening the door for Jordy."
Yeah.
He didn't even open your door.
I know. That's what's happening.
Yeah, it was really. I mean, it was very kind. Because I think he saw when I got in the car, my shoe fell off. And it was, like, hard for me to put it back on.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so I think when we got there, he was like, oh, okay, I'm just going to, like, help her out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to, like, have those things happen.
Yeah, it just feels... Yeah, I'm not someone who... I, like, struggled with asking for help from day one when I was born. So...
Yeah.
This is, like, really...
This is hard.
Hard.
And, like, you have to, like...
And I have to. Like, there's just no alternative, and it is hard. So that's that. I had another thought that I was gonna say, but I don't remember what it was.
Okay. Well, we'll pause for now. Maybe this will be, earlier. But Caroline Cray. Yes, we can comment about her.
I was like, we already said that.
Yeah. Are you worried about me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I hope everyone enjoyed the conversation with Caroline as much as I enjoyed it, because it was fascinating and I learned a lot. And I think it's like, it just reminded me a lot of what you're going through, Jordy, and also that like how people can learn information in a way that like feels good for the other person too.
Yeah.
To like share information, ask questions, acknowledge what they're going through without, I guess, like pitying them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just, she was just really inspirational in the idea that I would feel pity about someone who could only eat 2 foods, and she's like not living that life. And it gave me a different perspective of like, oh wait, someone can have their life worth living and they can find meaning and purpose. And like, yes, she doesn't want to live like this forever, but I could come in with my own assumptions, and she taught me a lot, and to be like more flexible about how people live their lives.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. I think like there wasn't like a tone of pity in what she was saying, or like my life is like really hard. She was just like, this is just like what I have to do.
Yeah.
And there was a time where I felt really sad and depressed about it. And she's gradually gotten to a place of acceptance and been like, oh, I can figure out how to adapt and find things that work for me while not having to completely remove myself from life and feel like I don't have a life worth living. So yeah, I just really enjoyed the conversation with her, and the humor that she brings to everything. Like, and I don't know if this made it into the interview. Honestly, Hank hasn't edited fully this episode yet, so I haven't listened to it all the way through. But one thing I do want to say is that Caroline is like number 1 in my book, because she said people our age.
Oh.
And she's 24. And Erica and I are in our 30s.
So I thought that, but I was like, I'm just gonna like be like her. Like I'm gonna just be in her age group. But then you called it out.
I was just like, yeah, she was like, you know, people like our age, and I'm like, oh, am I your age? Like, you think I'm 20?
I think we're like completely different generations.
We are. Yeah. I'm like, oh, you think I'm in my 20s? Love you for that.
You're like, we're millennials.
Yeah.
We're not.
No, but I was like so grateful. I'm like, oh, you think we like look so great?
Or you're just trying to be nice.
No, I feel like she was authentic about that.
I don't know. We can ask her.
No, I think. Cole, do you think she was just trying to flatter us, or do you think she actually thought we were in our 20s? Caroline, you can comment on this if you want.
Yeah, I would love to hear some thoughts.
Yeah, but just felt really good after leaving that interview. I felt really great about myself. But yeah, funny. I loved that she also talked about like dating, and because I think that can be a thing that like a lot of people worry about. I mean, I imagine if this had happened to, like, if I had gotten my diagnosis pre-dating and pre-marriage to Hank, that would be something that's on my mind. Like, am I ever going to find someone who's interested in getting into a relationship with me, knowing all of this?
Right.
And it's so beautiful to see that it exists. And like, you should not settle for someone who makes you feel shameful or like doesn't believe you.
Yeah.
Or doesn't like respect your boundaries, or like want to protect you. I mean, like, these are, for her, it's like very high stakes.
Yes.
So,
and like, someone who's willing to take all the precautions.
Is this going?
Yeah, it's going.
Okay.
Yeah. It was just like a really, really great conversation. And now I want to be on TikTok just to follow Caroline, because I'm not a TikToker.
So everybody should go follow Caroline Cray. Honestly, I think she has 2 accounts. I think like one of them, I don't know, Erica, you can find the actual account name, but she's just like really inspiring and funny and engaging, and I follow.
So you can follow her on TikTok at Caroline Cray 2.
The number 2.
Caroline, and then it's CRAY number 2.
So we loved having Caroline on, and we hope to see like a lot more content from her, because she's making a big difference and doing it all with a smile on her face and acknowledging the hard parts too. Not just like saying like, oh no, it's fine. Like, this is my life now. You know, she's just saying, yeah, no, this is the hand I was dealt, and so I'm gonna live life to the fullest, and also recognize that this is shitty and hard sometimes.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us on Monday morning.
Yeah, and we've just gotten a lot of like really nice feedback lately. I feel like people are reaching out and they're like, I'm a really big fan, or like, you're at the top of my like list Monday mornings. Like, I look for your video on YouTube, or I look for the the next episode that's come out to download. And I think like we are like sort of in denial about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, yeah, like when we're like planning to record, or like, I don't know, I just feel like we're like, oh, like this is just like a little intimate recording.
Well, yeah, I was like, who wants to listen to us? I guess I think that a lot of like,
I do too.
Listen to us talk. I don't understand.
Yeah, and like, I mean, we're bringing on interesting people, so I'm like, for that, I understand. But it's just been really cool to see that people are interested in learning and growing, and I don't know, just following along.
Yeah. So. And next week, I may do an update solo, may bring Jordy on. Let's see how she is post-brain surgery. Yeah. Actually, maybe I'll bring the microphones to the hospital.
Yeah, I know. Erica's going to come, like,
stay the night,
at the hospital, so...
Yeah, we'll see. TBD.
Can you imagine?
Like, honestly, yes. I can't imagine.
I just feel like if, like, a doctor walked in, they'd be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Okay, so everyone stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Perhaps we'll have a straight from the hospital.
Yes. Oh, it stopped. Because, like, I went to TikTok. Stop. But I guess we can just pull it from there. Okay, so
if the audio is bad, it's because we stopped recording our audio. Okay. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, I can't believe people watch our podcast, because it just feels... like I'm wearing a bathing suit right now. Like, it just feels like...
It feels really...
thrown together. But, like,
is.
We actually do put a lot of thought and care into what we do and who we bring on and the conversations we're having, and... just that it's making a positive impact on someone's life is like all we could have hoped for.
That is very true. Okay, stay tuned to see if we are able to record in the hospital post Jordy's brain surgery. Or I'll just be me, and that will be very sad if I'm alone. So, see you next Monday, everyone.
See you next Monday.
Thanks so much for listening to Grief Street. We put out new episodes every Monday. If you'd like to support us, give us a follow on Instagram and TikTok. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel to find the video version of our episodes. Please subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts and give us a 5-star review. We would love to hear from you and get some feedback. If you'd like to contact us, please email griefstreetpodcast@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at 508-474-3378. That's 508-GRIEFST. Our theme song is Hepcat Jive, courtesy of purpleplanet.com. We'll see you next time.